What are some of the darker effects COVID-19 has had that we don't talk about? 30% increase in drug overdose deaths in 2020. As a dental student, I see lots of people who neglected their teeth who otherwise might not have. Regular cleanings, checkups, not returning for definitive treatment, AHMND having a temp crown on for 18 months. This is partly the fault of dental offices canceling appointments indefinitely and never rescheduling the patients, but also partly patient fear of catching COVID from other patients, etc. TL. Dr. More people's teeth are more fucked up. How much hearing impaired people were affected? My mother, who wears hearing aids, also depends on reading lips, especially in louder, busier areas. Hearing aids can have trouble sorting through complex noise situations. You can imagine what happened when everyone covered their mouths. Now she's more isolated than ever. Since then, I've ran into a coworker who is also hearing impaired but doesn't want to return to office because, while she can read lips on Zoom, she won't be able to if we mask up in person. They were an invisible casualty of this pandemic. Edit. The response to this has been more than I expected. If anyone has links to their favorite organizations to donate to help the hard of hearing, please share them. I hope the stories below help us all be a little more empathetic to each other. Thanks. This is a bit embarrassing because I'm in my 20s. But lockdown made me develop hemorrhoids. It's common among PPL who sit a lot for their work, and because of lockdown I get less exercise. And here I am with FCKN hemorrhoids on top of all the stress and chaos of the pandemic. Less cancer and other serious diseases diagnosed and treated. Less needed surgeries performed because of the hospital staff being reassigned to COVID wards. Less referrals written to not overwhelm specialists. In-person health services becoming harder to reach. So less conditions like skin cancer diagnosed. The health of all of us suffers. Not only those affected by COVID. Parts are harder to come by, and everything is more expensive. Not to sound cold-hearted or anything, but who is someone who died and had it coming to them? My cousin got drunk and violent when his wife tried to leave him. He shot her but missed. Her father was with her and he shot my cousin dead. No one in my family said anything as tribute to him online. Not many family members came to his funeral. I think most of us were angry at him. It was surreal. Victoriano Alvarez. There is an island off the coast of Mexico called Clipperton Island. In 1914, the island had a population of 100 with resupply ships coming every 2 months. When the Mexican Revolution and WW1 broke out, the ships stopped coming. By 1917 there were only 15 women and children and 1 man. Victoriano Alvarez left alive. Many died from scurvy, while others drowned attempting to chase a passing ship for help. Being the only man left on the island, Victoriano Alvarez declared himself the king and seized all the remaining weapons on the island. He then began his tyrannical rule and would rape and murder the remaining survivors. Eventually he was killed by Teresa Rendon, who was one of his favorite victims. Shortly after this, an American ship passed by and rescued the remaining 4 women and 7 children who survived and told their story. When asked about Alvarez, the survivors claimed he had died from scurvy like the others. 2 sailors took interest to their story and investigated the island. They witnessed the horrors, making the connections to their story as they went. When they came across Alvarez's body, laying in a pool of his own blood, they exchanged no words, gave each other a nod and moved on. Source: https en.m.wikipedia.org/wiki/Clipperton_island. My great-great-grandfather, who was super abusive and cruel to just about everyone but especially his wife and kids. He was murdered by my great-great-grandmother and everyone in the town definitely knew that, but nothing was ever done about it. My paternal grandmother. People were literally singing, "Ding dong, the witch is dead," at her funeral. Only people that pretended to care were those she left money to. My stepfather used to tell me a story about a buddy of his that would always swerve to hit animals when he was driving. Sadistic fuck that just wanted to kill the squirrels and raccoons running across the street. So one day, this dude swerved to hit a dog. One of the dog's ribs punctured his tire. He lost control of the truck, and he wrapped it around a tree. My maternal uncle who sexually abused me for years, and my parents just let him get help instead of prison. He got on a modified boat that was going way fast, hit a wave and the boat disintegrated. He hit his head and either died on impact or drowned while unconscious. Either way, he got off way easier than he deserved. What instantly makes a man unattractive? Bashing his exes repeatedly on a first date. Bad manners, arrogant, bad hygiene. Shitty manners and a sense of entitlement, superiority. Belittling people based on their salary. Applies to everyone though. I asked my wife, she said lying. Being mean to appear cool. You've been recruited for a heist and your username is your skill. What do you bring to the team? Moral support. One badass war cry. I can do anything, but not very confidently. Hey, nice. Bringing the big guns to your galactic shenanigans, obviously. The frightening power of vocabulary. What is one food that you will never like no matter how old you get? Brains. Jellied eel. Pan-fried liver. Bitter melons. Celery. If it's in a soup and you don't taste it, I will allow it for the crunch. Chicken feet. It just seems gross, considering that they constantly step in their own poop. What was the biggest scandal in your small town? Mayor and several city councilors were taking kickbacks and bribes from demolition, construction, cleaning companies for cleanup contracts after a hurricane. Funded by FEMA. The companies would give the mayor and city councilors like a couple grand. Then the company would get FEMA funds in the tens of thousands to clean up, destroy a hurricane damaged property. Only the address given to FEMA and listed on the contract were fake or already cleared. So the companies got paid to do nothing. At one point, the FBI busted the local cops for smuggling cocaine. Dare officer selling drugs that were evidence. College professor was found tied to a tree and burned months after he disappeared. Police ruled it a suicide. One of the assistant football coaches at the high school raped a 15-year-old at his house when she came over to pick up a vape and was sent to jail with a $1 million bond and was then bailed out before court by a fairly renowned family, and about 3 weeks later was sent back due to having a relationship with their daughter. 16. He is like 27, I believe. Gonna have to go with the woman who killed a 8-month pregnant woman. Cut out the baby. And tried to pass it off as hers. Edit. The one from my hometown was Kennewick. WA circa 2008. Second edit. I should give an honorable mention to a more recent, less grisly scandal. And that would be the whole ghost cattle scam Easterday was running. $250 million scam. And a accidental death that sure looks like a suicide. What's the best theory on UFOs or aliens you've ever heard? How human birth parallels alien abductions. Babies are taken from their home. They still developing sight, so they see bright lights and gray figures. They hear an alien language they don't understand. They suddenly feel cold after leaving their womb. Also, they are in a surgery room being poked with tons of instruments. Long story short, some people suggest that abductions are just people who had birth trauma. UFOs, aliens are a cover for all of the secret projects that the government is working on. Actually stole that from the X-Files. I like the idea that some UFOs aren't machines. Instead, they are some sort of upper atmosphere jellyfish. They come from other dimensions and not just space. A cool one is humans from the future, but I doubt that shit. Also, I am curious if they are hiding in Antarctica. Richard Byrd supposedly said he witnessed stuff down there. I find it strange how most of the ocean is undiscovered. We are like that uncontacted tribe and everyone agrees not to bother us. Time travel exists. And UFO sightings are actually future humans coming back to our time. That is why they are so discreet. And never openly make contact.
Subscribe, my brothers.